Level 1. $0. You're 19. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Nobody. You watch the race from the wrong side of a chain-link fence on a Tuesday night in August. The cars go. The crowd reacts. You didn't even know this existed 3 weeks ago. Your cousin brought you. He left with a girl before the third heat. You stayed. Something happened when the first car launched off the line. Not adrenaline exactly. More like recognition. Like meeting a version of yourself you hadn't been introduced to yet. The lot itself is nothing special. Asphalt with cracks that look like a map of somewhere you've never been. Bleachers on one side, vendor tents on the other selling energy drinks and brake fluid. The smell of fuel and burnt rubber mixing with August heat that hasn't lifted since noon. You stand at the fence because the gate has a cover charge and you have exactly $4 in your pocket. The fence is fine. The fence gives you distance. Distance lets you see everything without being seen. You watch the timing boards flash. You watch pit crews move with purpose you don't yet understand. You watch Ray Delgado's Supra idle past and feel something shift in your body like tectonic plates realigning. Later, you'll understand this moment as the pivot, the before and after. Right now, you just know that leaving before the final heat is not an option. Your car is a 1997 Honda Civic hatchback. Silver, or it was once. 4 cylinders. A driver's window that won't go up past 3/4. An engine warning light that's glowed constantly on your dashboard since the Bush years. Covered with electrical tape because the actual repair work is where the real expense lives. You have $340 in a debit account and $600 of tools on a store credit card that is already maxed. The tools are in a milk crate in the trunk. You don't know what half of them do yet. You'll learn. You bought the Civic for $1,200 from a guy who needed quick cash for a gambling debt. It had one previous owner, an older woman who drove it to the grocery store on Thursdays and never took it on the highway. The interior smells like her car air freshener still. The floor mats have her initials embroidered in the corner. You keep them. Something about respecting the previous custody of an object matters to you, even if you can't fully articulate why. The car runs, which is almost everything. It has almost everything else you'd consider essential. A working transmission, brakes that stop you before you hit things, a radio that picks up FM stations. The window situation is a mystery you haven't solved. The electric motor makes a grinding sound like it's being tortured. You roll it down manually now, 3/4 of the way, and consider it a feature rather than a flaw. There's a man here called Ray Delgado. 2 custom builds and a name that moves through this city the way certain weather systems move. Wide-body Supra, root beer Pearl, twin turbos whining low in the idle like a threat you can't quite make out yet. He stands at the start line in a jacket that costs more than your car and does not race tonight. He watches the other drivers go, arms crossed, expression unchanged. The kind of man who stopped having something to prove a long time ago, or needs you to believe he did. You learn later that Ray came up the same way you're coming up, started with nothing, built something, took it national. But all you know on this August night is that he carries himself like someone who has already won every race he'll ever run, including the ones that matter most. He's maybe 40, maybe younger if he takes care of himself, older if he doesn't. It's impossible to read. He has that quality, the quality of being slightly outside normal time. You watch him the same way you watch the cars, taking notes, filing everything. He glances in your direction once, doesn't register you. You're a body in the fence line, a prop. The Civic kid with the electrical tape dash and the window cracked open to the August heat. You remember the glance. You'll be counting glances like this for years. Level 2, $5,000. You pick up a second job. Nights at a distribution warehouse, walking 10 miles of concrete floor per shift. You sleep on a friend's couch. You eat the same 4 things every week. Every dollar that doesn't go to rent goes into the car. A used intake. Injectors. A tune you got cheap from a guy in a forum who does the whole thing over email and a data cable. The car is still ugly. That's fine. Ugly runs. The first night you run it, you beat a modded WRX by half a car length. Its owner throws his keys into a cooler. You almost apologize. You don't. You pocket $40. You drive home with the window still cracked and walk your miles at 11 and say nothing to anyone at work. But something has shifted. There is a version of this you can see now. Far away. Blurry. There. The warehouse job teaches you things you don't expect to learn. You start out pushing pallets. You move to inventory management. You learn the organizational systems. You learn that everything that looks chaotic actually follows a logic if you study it long enough. You apply this to the car. You study how the parts interact. You learn that tuning isn't magic. It's just understanding the system deeply enough to make micro adjustments that add up. Your manager at the warehouse is a guy named Frank who worked logistics for a racing team in the 90s. He doesn't talk about it much. One night you mention you're into cars and he says, "The secret is that it's never just about the car." He leaves it at that. You think about it every shift after. Your cousin comes back. He missed it. He heard about the Civic that beat the Subaru and didn't know it was yours. When he finds out, he slaps you on the arm like he helped. He did not help. He left with a girl. You remember the fence? He wants to ride along next week. You say, yeah. You mean maybe. You're already thinking about the car. Ray Delgado is at the same lot 2 weeks later. 3 other builds with him, a woman filming the Supra for Instagram, the whole orbit. The car idles past you in the staging lane. He looks at the Civic, actually looks. Not at you, at the car. Reading it. He says nothing. He pulls to the line and makes a run that leaves rubber and fuel in the air for 20 minutes. You watch the data on his passenger's phone from 15 feet away. You're filing everything. Level 3, $25,000. The car is not a Civic anymore. Same chassis. Different animal entirely. You built it across 14 months on a floor jack in a rented bay you split with a transmission guy named Dale. Dale doesn't ask many questions. He brings coffee in the morning. He says huh when he's looking at something he respects. You hear a lot of huh from Dale across this period. It matters more than you expect. The engine runs a built K-Series now. Custom manifold. Intercooler plumb tight. Full suspension overhaul. The car weighs nothing and makes numbers that don't match its looks, which is the entire point. You run it at a regional event in Wichita. 3 heats. You win 2. The third you lose by 1/10 to a car with twice the budget. You're not upset. 1/10 is a conversation. 1/10 means they have to think about you. Word moves. The scene here is smaller than it looks. Everyone knows everyone's build. A guy from a Dallas crew texts you cold. He heard about the Civic. He wants to know what you're making. You tell him. He says that's impossible for that platform. You say come see it. He doesn't come. He sends a friend instead. The friend takes video and doesn't introduce himself. Fine. Let them study. Working on the car teaches you patience in a way almost nothing else can. A single gasket can take an entire evening. A single bolt can be the difference between everything working and nothing working at all. You develop an appreciation for precision that wasn't in you before. You learn to see details. You learn that most people miss details because they're moving too fast. You slow down. The car benefits. You benefit. Dale watches this transformation happen and doesn't comment on it, but he brings better coffee as it progresses. That's how you know he's noticed. Ray Delgado shows up at the regional. Not running, watching, same as always. Arms crossed, jacket on. He makes his way down the staging lane and stops at your car. Really stops. He walks the front, looks at the intercooler plumbing, kneels down and looks at the undercarriage without asking permission. He stands back up and says, "Who tuned this?" You tell him. He makes a sound that isn't quite approval but lives in that neighborhood. He looks at you directly for the first time. "Looks like you need tires," he says. He walks away. You look at your tires. He's right. You buy tires. Level 4. $100,000. The budget is real now. A sponsorship from a parts company. A fuel deal. Not life-changing money. Enough. Enough to stop doing this purely out of savings. The car gets wrapped. Professional wrap. Not vinyl you cut yourself on a folding table at midnight. The logo is clean. The font is readable from the next lane. You pull into a lot and people look before you've even shut the engine off. The sponsorship process is more complicated than you expected. There are meetings with people in marketing departments. They use words like synergy and brand integration. You don't fully understand half of what they're saying, but you understand that they're giving you money and equipment, so you listen. You sign documents with clauses you have to read twice. You commit to appearing at events. You commit to posting on social media. You commit to representing the brand well. These commitments feel manageable at first. Then you realize they're actually quite specific about what representing the brand well means. The scene reorganizes itself around you when that happens. Guys who nodded before now stop and talk. They want to know who handles your sponsorships. They want to stand next to the car because the car has a face now, a brand, and proximity to a brand feels like something even when it's borrowed. You understand this. You understand it completely. You grew up watching people do the same thing to other people. You file it. Your cousin asks if you can put his buddy's sticker on the car for a regional event. Free visibility, he says. You ask what the company is. He doesn't actually know. Just says the guy's good people. You pass. Your cousin is annoyed for a week. Then he's fine. Then he's at every event again like nothing happened. The car has that effect. It brings people back who left. Ray Delgado reaches out directly. A text from a number you didn't have. Short. A private run next month. Invitation only. 6 words. 4 drivers. He says your name first. You sit with the phone for longer than you should. You say yes. The word comes out calm. Inside, you are 19 again at a chain link fence in August, watching a car launch off the line like a door being opened. The run happens on a closed industrial strip outside the city at 3 in the morning. No crowd. No video. 4 cars, 4 drivers, and Ray standing at the quarter mark with a handheld timer. You run second. You lose to the car ahead and beat the 2 behind. Ray says nothing about your run. He nods when he writes the time down. From Ray Delgado, that is a significant amount of information. You drive home at sunrise. Dale texts at 7 asking how it went. You type, okay. He sends back, huh. You know exactly what that means. Level 5, $500,000. Everything shifts in the year the car runs nationally. A real team, a manager, a mechanic who isn't Dale on a floor jack in a rented bay. Though Dale is still there for the important things, and you make sure he knows it. Press. People who cover this world start covering you. Not the big outlets, the right ones. The ones the community reads, the ones where a paragraph means something. The car goes on a trailer now instead of driving to the events. That detail alone creates a distance you weren't prepared to feel. The first time you watch it roll onto a trailer for transport, you stand there a second longer than necessary. Something about it. You can't name it exactly. Progress doesn't always arrive the way you pictured it would. National events are different from regional ones. Different infrastructure, different sponsorship ecosystem, different mentality. Guys who've been doing this for 15 years. Teams with trucks and crews. Money that's not just money but connected to larger companies with quarterly earnings reports. You show up and immediately feel small again, but small in a different way than you felt when you were 19. This is small in a way that's instructive rather than diminishing. You watch how the top teams operate. You take notes. You learn that there's always another level. The money coming in doesn't look the way people imagine. Sponsorships have riders, appearance requirements, logo placements that conflict with each other. A parts company wants you to run their brakes. You've tested 3 sets and they're not as good as what you're using. You run what you're using. They pull the contract. $6,000 a year gone. You don't lose sleep over that. You lose sleep about other things. You start getting messages from kids who are where you were. 19. $0. Trying to figure out how to begin. You answer some of them. You don't answer all of them because there's not enough time. But the ones you do answer, you tell them the same thing. Start. Start with what you have. Start with nothing if that's what you have. Start knowing you'll be wrong about most things but right about the things that matter. You don't know if this helps. You hope it does. Ray runs a team now. Has for years. One of his drivers is circling the same events you're at. Younger, quick, probably cheaper than a phone call with you. You watch him run a regional you're also entered in. Genuinely fast. You beat him by 2/10 in the final heat. Ray is watching from the tower. After the runs, he walks over. He says what he's never said before. He says, "I told people about you before you had a sponsor." Says it once. Moves on. You're standing there holding a water bottle and something cracks open in your chest. Not pride exactly. Something older than that. Whatever it's called when the first person who ever looked at your car, and not through you, finally says the thing out loud. You sit in your parking garage that night for longer than you'd admit to anyone. Level 6. $2 million. You build a second car. Not for you to drive. For a driver you found at an unsanctioned event outside Kansas City, 18 years old, running a beater Integra with a blown shock absorber and a tune she wrote herself off an open source platform at 2 in the morning. Her name is Maya. She's making times that don't match the car, which means the car isn't the variable. You've done this math before. You give her a real build, real support, real money behind it. You remember the day you first saw her run? She wasn't on anyone's radar. She just showed up, ran, placed well, and left. You were there scouting for other reasons. You almost missed her entirely. But there was something in how she moved through the staging lane. Confidence that didn't come from money or equipment. The kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you're doing every single second. You watched her telemetry data afterward. She was making adjustments mid-run that shouldn't have been possible with the equipment she had. You asked around. Nobody knew her. That's when you knew. The day you hand her the keys, she asks why. Just that one word. Why? You could say a lot of things. You have a lot of things you could say. You say, because someone looked at a Civic once. She doesn't fully understand it yet. That's fine. She will. The scene comes back around the way it always does in this world. A regional qualifier in winter, outdoor lot, cold enough to see everyone's breath from 30 feet away. Maya's running. Ray is there too, older now. The super on a trailer he doesn't drive competitively anymore. He's working the sponsor tents, doing what the older generation does, running on the name, leveraging history. He finds you near the staging lane. He shakes your hand, and for a moment you're both watching Maya line up. She launches clean, a tenth faster than anything in her class today. Ray says, "Where did you find her?" You say, "Same place you found me." He looks at you. He starts to say something and doesn't finish it. You let it sit there between you. Maya is already pulling forward for the second heat. You kept the electrical tape from the warning light on the Civic. It's in a box somewhere in a storage unit with other things you're not done with yet. Nobody knows it's there. Nobody would understand it if they saw it. Some things you keep because you need the reminder of the exact moment you decided. Not to prove anything to anyone else, just to know the distance. Maya's at the line now. The board counts down. 3, 2, 1.